Welcome back to movingprofessional.com. So in this video I want to discuss the hip shift and 3 different ways to do it. To describe what the hip shift is basically the beginning of us moving into rotation. So any motion that would be reciprocal, such as gait, or any athletic motion where we have to rotate, we need to understand the hip shift as basically a precursor to the joint movements that are necessary to be able to rotate in the most efficient manner. All right, so if we can't understand the weight shift, or if our body isn't able to do that, then any rotational action that we do is going to be compensated in some way. So the easiest position to feel the weight shift in is this 90-90 position typically. All right, and the reason for that is because I have a lot of feedback from the ground to make sure that I'm not moving from places I don't want to move from in the pelvis. All right, so step 1, I'm going to just feel like my sacrum comes off the ground, my lower back stays on the ground. You can think of that as a posterior pelvic tilt. So that's, both sides are doing that at the same time. I'm feeling both heels press in. I feel little hamstring activity on both sides. Step 2, now if I want to shift my body to the left, is I'm going to feel my right thigh reach to the ceiling, my left thigh reach into the groin, but I don't lose that sacrum hover here. So I'm going to feel this left hamstring, and I feel like my weight has now shifted more to the left. So that means my right leg is light, my left leg is heavier than it was. Okay, and I also feel shifted towards maybe the left thoracic region. All right, so to make this a little bit more enhanced, I can take both arms, reach both, and if I reach the right a little bit more than the left, now I'm even more on that left side. Okay, so that shifts me to the left. Muscle references here will be left hamstring, left inner thigh, and then when I breathe out, my left abs on the left side, so left internal obliques mostly, and then I might feel just a widening of the space between the shoulder blades, but heaviness more on the left thoracic spine into the ground. Okay, so on the right it would just be the opposite. So I hover the sacrum, both heels push down. Now I'm going to reach my right leg into the socket or compress it into the socket. Left one is going to reach away. I'll feel heavier in my right hamstring, right inner thigh. If I reach both arms, I'm going to reach the left more than the right, and that puts me onto the right thoracic spine more than the left. So I'm heavier on this right, lighter on this left. And now I'm rotating subtly to the right. If I go back the other way, I'm rotating subtly to the left. So that's the easiest position to feel in many ways because you can feel the hamstring quite a bit, and you can also feel the shift in the thoracic spine. When you start with your knees right over your hips too, it's easier to get a sense of feeling gravity sort of assisting that compression in towards knee towards groin. All right, so then the next position to look at would be going into a half kneeling position. All right, so if we're in a half kneeling position, now we have a sense of this knee is right under the hip, this ankle is right under the knee. So if I want to shift my body left, I'm going to think about, again, pulling this thigh into the socket. So I'm going to find the hamstring, I'm going to find the inner thigh. I'm going to think about my sternum here coming a little bit closer to the left groin. So, and then I'll have my body will be oriented a little bit left. So if I do the reach again, I'm going to reach both. So the space between my shoulder blades opens up, but I'm going to reach my right a little bit more, and that orients my nose over the left knee. And I can breathe there a few times, feeling the hamstring here. On this side, I may turn this foot in and sort of kick and push to orient myself even more to the left. So my right outer butt would be involved in that pushing motion to get me more over my left side, and then I can do that on the opposite side as well. So that gets me to begin to rotate left, and I'm starting to load into this leg, which pulls me to the left. I can also think of it on this side where if I wanted to pull myself into the down knee, I'm going to pull this one up into the socket, so I feel inner thigh here, and then this leg is a little bit lighter, or I can reach that leg to help push me and orient my nose over this leg. So now I'm shifted this way, and if I reach my left arm a little bit more, so I've oriented myself that way. So the idea of a push-pull, pulling this heel, pushing with this leg, that brings me over this side, and vice versa, that's the beginning of starting to rotate. And then I can try to take that into standing, which would carry over to some of the positions of gait. So if I'm in standing now, I want to feel myself pull back into this left leg. Now I'm more on the left leg. So again, can I feel my inner thighs? Can I feel my hamstring? Think about sucking up. Can I feel these abs? So now I'm oriented over this foot. This leg is light. This one's heavy. I can't lift this. I can lift this. All right, and if I were to add a reach, I still want to keep that space between the shoulder blades open, because if I don't, I come forward, now my rib cage is out in front of my pelvis, and I'm no longer loading this leg. So I want to keep that space between my shoulder blades open because that keeps my rib cage over my pelvis, and when I shift, I'm really on this leg, I'm really offloading this leg, so I'm going to reach the right a little bit more than the left, which again puts me more over this left side, and then I would just switch and do it on the other side. All right, so those are just, it's a quick introduction to different ways to hip shift and how to think about the hip shift as it's the beginning of any rotation. It's very important if you're doing a lot of bilateral stuff, bilateral barbell squats, bilateral deadlifts, kettlebell swings, things where you're moving just in a sagittal plane. They're all beautiful for building capacity, but you're limiting rotation there. So being able to hip shift becomes a therapeutic counterbalance to a lot of those movements. If you have any questions, comment below, or you can reach out at movingprofessional.com. See you next time.